I see sometimes when students are on particular campuses, because you have students coming from all over the country. So if you're a student from, let's just say I had a client, she was from California and she was going to a campus that was very Southern. So I was coaching her on what a Southern campus would be wearing versus what she would probably wear on a normal, what she considered dressing up was not what they would be wearing. So you kind of have to think through, what is that?
So
That's an important point.
What did you tell her?
So I just told her what you consider dressing up is not what they consider dressing up. So
right, but what did you tell about their expectations?
2 times more than what she thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty dressy.
It's going to be pretty dressy compared to what you think. And I do think too, looking at previous recruitment, like you can go on to any of the recruitment websites, you can go on the Instagrams, you can go on, any of them, and you can kind of see what girls are wearing for that particular campus. And you can tell pretty easily. You can also kind of guess what the brands are and all of that. So I always recommend, like, if you can sort of stick with the culture of that campus, you're going to be probably fine. But if you go too outside, again, you don't want to be an outlier so much so that it makes you stick out too much.
All right. Well, what about the do's and don'ts of
social media?
Social media.
This is always fun. Okay, so do's, I think that students or girls particularly are missing is that they do not do a great job of promoting themselves for what they are passionate or interested in. So they are great about posting homecoming and prom and vacation pictures. Like, those are all fun things that we're all doing on a regular basis. But if you are a passionate person, like I was talking to a girl today, she loves fashion. And I was like, I see nothing on your social media that tells me you're into fashion. Like, I see that you've gone on some really cool vacations. I see that you have really great friends that you've gone to prom with, but I see nothing about fashion. So it needs to tell a story. And I think that's what's hard about social media is these girls are so used to they don't want to post about certain things. Like, they don't want to put their family on their Instagram, which is fine. But that's what the sororities are looking for, is they want to get to know them before they walk through the door. And so the don'ts would be, if they have too many selfies. So if they're only posting, now if you're on vacation and you have, bikini photos are fine. I don't have a problem with bikini photos, but if every other picture on your social grid is a bikini photo, I'm going to question, are you really into yourself, or do you have a group of friends that you hang out with on the regular? So there's some things like that. If they have a lot of pictures with just them and their boyfriend, again, we're going to be asking, do they have a friend group, or do they just spend a lot of time with the boyfriend? Sororities are also looking for inappropriate things, like if they have, the red Solo cups, if there's a lot of inappropriate things, people commenting, they do go down the rabbit hole of looking at who's commenting on what people are commenting. They look at the tag photos. They do look at, when they're looking at their TikToks, they are looking at the explicit lyrics, things like that girls sometimes just don't even think about. And so depending on the campus, again, if it's a very conservative campus, they're not going to like that. They're not going to want to recruit someone who repeatedly has stuff like that on their social media.
Are there ways to clean up your social media?
I was just going to say, forgive my ignorance. Can you just go through and delete
100%.
what you don't want there?
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think too, something that girls don't realize is just, and I always do this when I'm speaking to groups and moms kind of always give their daughters the side eye, is, you are sort of associated with people. So if there is kind of like a bad apple in your group, the girl that has the bad reputation, you want to definitely start limiting your association with that person, because if they're also going to that university and that sorority is getting information about that young woman, and they're not planning to extend an invitation to her, but they see you in every photo with her, that could also hurt your reputation with her as well. So there's just a lot.
It's rough out there.
It's really rough. I mean, I don't know how I ever gotten into a sorority. I mean, I was gonna. It's not for the weak. That's for darn sure. But I mean, conversation do's and don'ts. I mean, it's like a landmine out there.
Well, I definitely think this is the area where most girls spend the least amount of time prepping. And this is where they need to spend the most time prepping. And it's not something where you necessarily have to be perfect, because it's really just about being able to connect with people, right? So we need to be able to have a natural conversation with each other. We need to be able to feel like I got to know you, you got to know me. And at the end of the conversation, do I like you? Yeah, you seem great. So that's all we're trying to do. But if at the end of the conversation, you were a little awkward, or you're a little shy, or you didn't give me enough, that's where the sororities are like, okay, I'm moving on, So the don'ts, I would say, are the girls that come in and are immediately asking about, what fraternities are you pairing with? Do you have a boyfriend? And is he in a fraternity? What type of social events are y'all doing? So the girls that immediately are coming in and just kind of trying to run down the list of, how is this going to benefit me? Those are the don'ts. I think, the red flags sometimes for the sororities could also be the girl that's asking a lot of questions about what's the financial obligation? Am I going to be able to afford it? I think, it's fair to ask about the financials, because some people do have to pay for the sorority on their own. They have to work and they have to cover that cost. And that's fair. I think, those are good questions to ask on the front end. But if that's the only thing she keeps talking about, that can really hurt a PNM, a potential new member who's trying to get into the sorority. So I think those sometimes can be, they say, kind of the money or the bucks, or kind of something you don't want to bring up. I'm not opposed to young women bringing up the Bible or kind of the religion part. I think that's dependent on, your personal, if that's important to you, I think you should be upfront about that. If that's something you're looking for and you're wanting that in college, I don't think necessarily that's a bad thing. I think that's something that students, should be able to talk about. I think the other thing that sometimes can kind of give students a bad rap if they bring it up in conversation is just having kind of a negative attitude. So if they come in and they're kind of like, oh, well, I heard this about this sorority, or I heard this is kind of not such a great group to join, or I heard that this is really not fun, or I heard this, sometimes they'll hear rumors outside before they come into a party, like, oh, I heard such and such is on social probation. What does that mean? So there's just kind of things that sort of circulate during the recruitment week that they'll bring into the conversations unknowingly to the girls that they're talking to. And they're just trying to make conversation, but can negatively impact the girl that they're talking to.
At the expense of someone else, like a gossipy. Yeah. You never want to be talking at the expense of someone else, whether it's in the sorority or not.